February 21 is going to be a big day for Diablo 4 fans. With Diablo 4 recent season of Construct being somewhat controversial among fans, disappointed players may want to keep an eye on February 21 when the upcoming RPG Last Epoch launch out of early access. Where Last Epoch gameplays go beyond Diablo 4 is in its level of build customization, something that Diablo 4 players have lamented with its build imbalance across the game's first 3 seasons. Instead of simply having 5 classes for players to work with, Last Epoch allows players to ascend into one of 3 different class masteries for each of the game's 5 base classes. This system greatly expands the build's varieties available to players, in the addition of a specialized skill tree for each mastery further deepens the build complexity players can expect in Last Epoch. Another aspect of Diablo 4 that was controversial among players was the MMO-like elements that game introduced, such as always needing to be online. Last Epoch sidestepped these issues by including both an offline single-player mode and an online mode for multiplayer groups, but only characters made specifically for a particular mode can be played within that mode. 11-hour games promise that Last Epoch will never introduce pay-to-win elements and will follow Diablo 4 lead with cosmetic being the only items available for purchase from an in-game shop. While Diablo 4 still lacks many of the quality of life features and endgame mechanics that players were hoping for, Last Epoch seems like it will be filled with a lot of these features when it launches out of early access. Last Epoch will also include endgame content where players can face endless waves of enemies and compete for top scores on the leaderboard. There are literally hundreds of available builds and items that drop that completely change the way you can play a build. Minions don't die and you can actually have a skeleton army as a necromancer. All you people whining about Diablo 4 should give it a try as well. Amazing RPG, unreplayability as you farm for specific items that have entire builds built around them. Aberrant Rot, Fire Rot built for Necro, Crit Squirrels for Druid, and etc. among much others. I like Last Epoch. Pretty much all of the systems are very thoughtful and respect the player. It's a way ahead of Diablo 4 in that regard. Many Diablo 4 players still resist to Last Epochs, and I'll give you some of the reasons pointed by Diablo 4 players. I like it, but the insane loot, variety and filter requirement are off-putting to me. Yes, it makes sense. It's better to have a limited loot and stash and filter that we have in Diablo 4. Really? Last Epoch is not available on console, so sadly no. This one I sadly agree. Other points. Part of me wants to try this other RPG after hearing a lot of people praise Last Epoch and PoE, but I just can't get over the feeling of playing a game that looks like a decade old. Really? Let's take a good look in Rogue Smoke Grenade in Diablo 4 and Smoke Bomb in the Last Epoch. The Last Epoch graphics are perfect? No, but they did a great job so far and keeps improving. Others says if you want a slow-paced combat RPG, then you go with the Last Epoch. Now this is crazy. Combat in the Last Epoch is way faster paced than either Diablo 4 or PoE. I am wondering if only Last Epoch had 30% of Diablo 4 funds. An early access beta game is currently blowing Diablo 4 out of the water in quality and content. And let's be honest, I think that such creative thinking as in this game is no longer possible in Blizzard. They look so intimidated saying something live as if they were forbidden to think. Last Epoch has such more viable endgame builds than many other RPG I ever played, and I do mean totally viable for pushing endgame. Of course, some are better, safer and faster than the others, but of dozens and dozens of Last Epoch builds are endgame viable. Yes, it's an amazing game. There are hundreds of different builds and there are many different endgame systems. Each spell has levels so you can customize what your spells or minions will do. You can have druids build with 10 wolves, yes, you heard it right, 10 wolves, 9 critical striking squirrels, dinosaur or scorpions. You can have entire armies of invincible flame skeletons with an army of 20 skeletons, this is crazy, following you around. Mages or melee class where you can be a melee mage or a caster mage, void knights or paladin, up to you if you want to deal shadow damage or light. Then the items themselves permitting crafting. You can get it with 3 legendary power that allows you to run a dungeon and infuse a purple item into your unique to give it legendary status and be even more tailored and powerful. There is no real meta builds because there are so many unique items in Last Epoch that you build around. You absolutely will not regret buying Last Epoch. I just wish Diablo 4 has a similar to quality stash system and loot filter system in Last Epoch, and I really hope that the devs of Diablo 4 look to Last Epoch skill tree, crafting, itemization system among other stuffs. Now I'm wondering if you only had a game that combines all the good from Diablo 4 with the good from Last Epoch and the good from PoE. That will be an RPG to enthrall the planet. So this is all for today. Please let me know if you already tried Last Epoch or if you intend to do it. Don't forget to comment, subscribe the channel will help me a lot, and as always be happy and have fun.